Big changes coming to airports and many federal buildings, and it is next week. People will need a real ID or a passport to get past security at the airport. Just having a normal driver's license could get you turned away if you're trying to get on a plane. Candace Red, that's her story, and she tells us what to expect starting next Wednesday. Candace.
That's right. Good morning, Walt. As you mentioned, starting May 7th, travelers flying out of U.S. airports will need to show TSA agents their real ID driver's license or another form of accepted ID to go through security and catch their flight. Well, we know that Congress passed the Real ID Act. Again, that was back in 2005. The goal was to improve security in the U.S. Now, the law was delayed multiple times because of cost, privacy concerns, politics, and even the COVID-19 pandemic. But now the TSA says passengers who show up without real IDs or alternatives, quote, can expect to face delays, additional screening, and the possibility of not being permitted into the security checkpoint. Now, with the TSA enforcement date looming, DMVs across the country are slammed with people rushing to get their real ID cards. Well, AAA has advice for people who are scrambling.
A lot of people are not able to get an appointment before May 7th because a lot of these appointments are filling up fast. You may have to just do the old-fashioned thing and every morning just refresh your browser and see if any appointments have opened up. You know, inevitably, like with doctor's appointments, there will be cancellations.
Well, outside of the DMV, some AAA locations offer real ID appointments too. And keep in mind, you can still board a domestic flight with a passport. Now, a real ID is also needed to enter secure federal facilities. We're talking about places like military bases and federal courthouses. Now, to be clear, May 7th is not a deadline to get a real ID. That's only the date that the TSA and federal agencies will begin to enforce the requirement. So get those passports ready if you have one, but not the real ID. The DMV will continue to issue real ID drivers licenses and ID cards after that date. Of course, this is a lot of information, but you can find more details on our website. That's abc10.com.
So I guess, Candace, the real deadline, if there is one, for people would be if they have a trip planned when they're flying, say August 5.
Yep, you got
it.
They would
need, that's their personal deadline when they're going to need that real ID to fly domestically.
Correct,
right?
Especially if you don't have a passport or any other form of identification that's acceptable.
Yeah, okay, that's Candace Red talking about the real ID. Candace, thank you.